Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me once again screaming into the void of the internet. Off work, so you already know, got some crap to talk about. Let's go ahead and hop into it. So, I want to talk about two topics that have been on my mind, mainly because of what kind of people you run across, right? And that is two things again. Hedonism, and I mainly want to talk about hedonism in the context of, judgment, right? Not judgment in the whole, divine judgment, but judgment in the term of, oh, you can't judge me, you can't be judgmental, you need to let people live and let live. And usually when someone says that, they usually mean let them pursue whatever they want to do in life no matter what. At a glance, you would assume that this is positive, right? But I'm going to talk about a scenario that I've actually been informed in a little bit. And it's been a while, and I've kind of wondered about the kid, but I'm just going to talk about it for a minute. So hedonism and judgment, right? Don't judge me kind of thing, right? Again, this is not like religion or anything. This is just me talking. So we live in a world where there's a lot of bullcrap going on. And I'm never really going to be up someone's arse about how they choose to deal with it. I'm not going to be up somebody's arse about if they want to smoke some drugs, depending on what it is, so long as they don't try to force it on me. I'm not going to be up somebody's arse if they want to, become a fagoot, a let's bean. I'm not really into the freaking genital mutilation, so I'm never going to advocate for that. But if somebody's going to say that they're going to do it, then yeah, I guess, right? But I'm not going to freaking say that you're actually the opposite gender that, you want to turn into it. There are certain things that I understand as copes, and then there are some things I'm never really going to be okay with, right? But for the most part, people like to say, well, as long as you aren't hurting anybody. But the thing is, you don't need to hurt someone physically. You can do it indirectly. Look at how many people have convinced others that it is perfectly justified to mutilate your genitals, right? Even in something as simple as, say, a circumcision, right? Some people are, torn on this. Some people say, well, it's healthier for the kid in terms of hygiene, and then some people say, well, it's genital mutilation. I don't know. I'm personally circumcised, but it's not like I got the choice, so I can't really say I'm sold on it because all I've ever known is circumcision. Am I going to say it's positive or negative? I don't know. My cousin, for example, he got an infection, and he would clean it regularly, but he still got one, so I don't know. But I kind of want to just, not get too torn off of the topic at hand. I want to try and remain focused. So, he's, coping, like I said, whether it's alcohol, whether it's, mild drugs, marijuana, things like that. Maybe a little bit of shroom. Nothing too intense. Sports, whatever. But then you get instances where those kinds of people are saying you shouldn't judge us no matter what. And they start getting into the more extreme things, right? For example, don't judge me, right? Don't judge me. Don't say that I'm doing anything wrong. You have no right. That's what they believe. Now, let's say that this individual is a lawyer, okay? Best of the best. Can bail you out all the time. Can make, the good old person who they're defending look amazing. The person who they're, accusing look awful. Standard stuff, right? But then you find out that while he is up in this court, well dressed, carries himself with some dignity and integrity, this cocksucker is going to diddy parties. Are we not to look at that mofo and say, hey, while you're over here deciding if somebody goes home to their family, while you're over here deciding if this guy is actually innocent or guilty, you're going to diddy parties. But we have to trust your judgment just because you study the law. We have to trust your judgment and hope that you are not fallible. Right? We have to hope that you're going to represent this person with the utmost integrity and do your job to the highest degree. But you're going to diddy parties. You get what I'm saying? And it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual diddy party, but, some kind of degenerate gathering. Whether it's a freaking glory hole train or, freaking orgies, or maybe you're just freaking going to like freaking druggy conventions, and yes, those are things if you didn't know. Like, there are people that gather together and just get freaking completely wasted on drugs and stuff like that. But we're supposed to trust you, right? You're affecting someone else. Again, not physically, but your word is going to impact whether this person goes home or not. So, am I not supposed to look at that? Am I not supposed to say, I don't really know if I want anything to do with this person? Is anyone wrong for saying that they don't want anything to do with this person? Right? Just saying. Another thing, let's say that you're a minor attracted person, but you never enacted those urges, but you keep advocating that you should have the right to. Is someone wrong for not wanting their kids to be around you? Sure, you didn't enact on them, but if you admitted to having those urges, is someone wrong for not wanting your kids around you? I don't think so, right? Now, let me get to this thing that I mentioned that I'm going to use as the biggest example. A little while ago, as in a couple of months ago by now, right? There was someone who was rooming with us back when we were still in Miami. And this woman is just effing her kid up. And I mean her kid because she has 2 kids. She has a daughter and a son. But she's a hoe, essentially. And I don't mean that, just as an insult. I mean that literally she's a hoe. And she's proud that her daughter is whoring herself out. Like, her daughter is already into this freaking internet porn bullcrap. She's already selling pictures of her body all on the line and all that stuff. And she talks openly about how proud she is of her daughter. And her son, he's a man. He can't do that. And she's making it seem like he's a failure. Now, mind you, let me give you some context. This broad is effing her kid up in a manner that you can't even think of. Because listen, I'm going to tell you something right now, guys. Yeah, my parents have not been the most supportive. But let me tell you something right now. It is worse to have parents that are actively trying to sabotage you than not support you. I can at least say that my folks ain't trying to sabotage me, They aren't supporting me, but they sure as crap aren't sabotaging me. This skank whore of a mom, literally, when he was put in school, she took him out of school because she basically wants him to, just help her hustle. Because she doesn't have a job, so she's basically just whoring herself out and selling food on the side. And so she makes him help her. I don't know how this chick isn't arrested, because this kid needs to get from under there. She doesn't feed him. When he had to get rushed to the hospital because he was completely like his nutrition is just dog crap. It's not like he's like skinny, skin and bones or something like that, but it's like he's just not eating well. Like, when he was living with us, there was times where he basically ate like one little piece of freaking sausage a day. Yeah, it's that freaking bad, man. I'm not kidding. And right now, she took him out of school when he tried to go to school. And I kid you not, she stole his bank information and took all the money out of it. Man, listen. If you're one of these mofos that tries to say, hey, well, at least this person isn't hurting the other person. Sure, they aren't physically hurting the person, but they're still effing them up mentally. There's only a few people, in my opinion, that can actively be hedons, right? Hedonistic. Here's the truth. If you have basically little to no responsibilities, right? You're not a parent. You aren't in a position, career-wise, where you have to, decide if somebody is getting, hired or fired or, going to jail or going home or something like that, right? Then, all right, I'll give that to you. But most importantly, you cannot be a parent. Those are the only people who can really be hedons. And to be real, I'd be honest and say that it's mainly just people with tons of money, Because you could argue that I'm kind of going to be like that a little bit, Just because I'm not, doing drugs or alcohol or going partying or sleeping around, Sure, I bang the occasional prostitute, but I'm not sleeping around like that. I don't concern myself with puss like that. You could argue that I'm being a bit of a hedon, but I'm not a parent. I'm not in a position where somebody walks free by my word or not. I'm not in a position where I need to represent somebody else and talk about how much integrity I have, I don't sit around and, put myself on a high pedestal around here, but boys, you know me. I'm very open about what's going on in my life. Not everything, but quite a bit. A lot more than some people, because this is a vent for me, The fact of the matter is this, okay? No matter what people believe, there are limits, and there should be limits to hedonism. There is a limit that people need to have that they don't cross, especially if you're going to choose to do things like be a junkie and then get pregnant or get someone pregnant. Because then it's not just affecting you. Sure, you didn't physically hurt anyone else, but you just effed up another human being. You're in no position to freaking raise the kid, and here they are, and they're effed up because of you. They might be strung out on drugs by birth because of you. The fact of the matter is, if you're going to be a hedon, right, as I like to call it, a hedon, not heathen, just a hedon, hedonistic, right? If you're going to be a hedon, you need to decide to just live a life where you don't have responsibility. Period. 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 You know? You look at some of these mofos where they were like getting married and having kids and they were being hedons, and I'm like, is it any wonder that their freaking family turned out like that? Think about it for a minute. Think about that cunt Jada Smith, right? And that idiot Will Smith for sticking with her. Look at the kids. Is it any wonder that they turned out like that when they had parents like that? Is it really any wonder? Why can't holy weird celebrities, right? Why can't they raise good kids? For all intents and purposes, they have all the money. So, you know, that's no concern for them. They should be able to give them the best schools, best opportunities, all that stuff, but they can't raise good kids. Because all those cocksuckers chased hedonism. Chased it so much that they forgot that they had a responsibility as parents. And it effed them up. And sure, the kids aren't going to freaking admit to it, but no, anyone can look at that mofo and tell that, yeah, you didn't really have a freaking decent childhood at a freaking full glance. Sure, you didn't have to worry about money, but look at what kind of parents you had. Look at the drama. Look at all of the crap that you had to deal with. Is it any wonder that they ended up that way? That's what you really got to ask, man. The way that I see it personally, okay, is only really, again, a select few amount of people can afford to be a hedon, if you will, you know? Am I going to kind of be like that? Yeah, I'll admit. You know, I'm going to chase things that make me content. Video games, you know, food a bit. Hopefully travel one of these days, because I do, again, plan on trying to get into this AI and companionship stuff. Asia is looking very nice in that market, and I really would like to go there and, you know, look at some technology and study that stuff. That would be pretty cool. So you could argue that, yeah, you know, that's something that I'm doing, but I'm never going to be a hedon in the sense of affecting somebody else. That's one of the biggest reasons why I'm saying, hey, listen, if you're going to do stuff like that, you need to decide what kind of life you're going to live. You need to be living a life where you are responsible for as little things as possible, especially not another person, you know? I'm not telling you you can't do it. I'm just saying that you really need to think about what kind of life you're trying to live first, you know? It's kind of how it is. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, boys, because that's really all I wanted to get off my chest. I feel really bad for that kid, man. A mom that's just a complete hoe. Proud that her daughter is whoring herself out as well. And blaming her son for what? Not having the ability to do that when you're not even supporting him? There's no male role model. There's no... Every time he's trying to get something going, you're effing him up. You're sabotaging him. It's effed up, man. It's really effed up, but I digress, man. What you gonna do? But I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, boys. I think I'm gonna keep that guy in my prayers, because that's awful. I wish I got his number or something, because he really needs somebody that he could have talked to. So just is what it is. Yeah. It just is what it is. So I think I'm just going to keep him in my prayers. Like I said, I wish I had some way to reach him, because he really needs somebody. I'm not saying that I'm going to like break down for him or something like that, but I know how it feels to basically be a man and you don't really have anybody. You know, I at least have my friend, but that does have its limits. But he doesn't have anyone. No one at all. And it's effed up, because, you know, he's not getting any younger. And there will come a day where, you know, like, he needs to try and get work and stuff like that. He's still a teenager right now, but still, man, the time is flying. So, it sucks, man, but I digress. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. Don't feel attacked. Not that I really care personally, because I don't really care about people's feelings like that, you know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm fine with people coping. You know, this world is very tough, but there are limits. You know, there are positive copes and negative copes. And contrary to what people want to believe, even if you are not physically hurting somebody, you know, you can still be indirectly hurting somebody, especially when, you know, you have responsibilities to someone. So, hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. As usual, thank you guys for listening again. God bless. I will see you guys next time.